Right here with Chiefs General Manager Brett Veach following day 2 of the NFL Draft. An exciting day for you guys. I know we just got done with a press conference. You're excited about the 3 guys that you drafted: Mecole Hardman, Juan Thornhill, and Khalen Saunders. Let's start with Mecole, and just what was it about him throughout this process that really impressed you?
Yeah, I mean, well, the first thing is obviously the speed, and that's one thing you can't coach. You either have it or you don't. I mean, this guy ran 4.27 at the combine. He can do a lot of different things for you. Thought he was the best punt returner and kick returner in the draft. You know, the ability for Coach Reed to use him on bubble screens, on end arounds, and then vertically down the field. I think anytime you can give Pat Mahomes another vertical threat will be a good thing. So we were excited about him, and you know, we were right in that window there, and there were some teams that we thought were going to come up for him. So we got a little aggressive there, not as aggressive as we usually are, but we made a move to get him there, and I think it was the right move, because I think had we not made that move, he wouldn't have been there at 61. So we were certainly excited to get him, and again, anytime you can add speed to this offense, we'll certainly be interested.
It wouldn't have felt right with the first pick if it hadn't come via a trade.
Yeah, no doubt.
But the fact that Hardman had only played receiver, I believe, for a couple of years, when you're evaluating, are you enamored by his ability to get some of the finer details and make the plays, or is this a guy that you think is really just beginning the process of developing what he can be?
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think he's just beginning that process. But when you talk about Mecole, you're talking about a great athlete. I mean, this guy was a high school quarterback. I think he long jumped 24. He ran 10.5, 10.6. He actually played some corner early on at Georgia. So he's a dynamic athlete, and he has all the traits and the tools necessary to, as you mentioned, just continue to ascend and really develop into one of the better playmakers in the National Football League.
One of the things that Coach Reed said when I asked him during his presser about Hardman and playing receiver in this offense is you have to be intelligent with the way that he moves guys around, requires everybody to know every position. How were you impressed with Hardman in this way when you had a chance to sit down and talk with him and use your area scouts to learn that his game?
Well, former quarterback, right? So that's always a good place to start. So when you're a high school quarterback, or really a quarterback at any level, you really have a great grasp of the offense and understand everyone's assignment. So I think that background certainly helps him. But no, listen, he's extremely intelligent, and he's a great kid. Comes from a fantastic family, and he learns quick, he retains, and again, he'll be on that field early for us for sure.
I know that Patrick Mahomes isn't a guy that isn't going to sit back and not watch the NFL draft or whatever it is, but have you had a chance to hear from him what he thought about these picks?
Yeah, no, I mean, Pat is in tune with everything, and even when we were back at the combine, he was kind of texting us and letting us know, what he thought. But, after we drafted Mecole, I think he sent us a little Roadrunner emoji, so he kind of knows what's up.
That's going to be fun to watch throughout OTAs and going into training camp. Moving on to the second pick, and Virginia safety Juan Thornhill. I know from the Senior Bowl and the Combine, the word stands out, just versatility. Yeah,
versatility, and again, just like Mecole, another great athlete. I'm sure you guys saw his basketball highlights, and he was an all-state 1,000-point scorer in basketball. Talk about a guy with a 44-inch vertical, 11 broad, 4.4 speed. Played corner early on, moving to safety. But one of the things we talked about is just getting another safety, a pure free safety in the mix. Obviously the Honey Badger likes to get down there and mix it up, and Armani does, and Dan's a guy that can do some things down the box. Lucas is one of the guys that shows some range, but this adds another guy that you can say is really a pure center fielder, and he has tremendous instincts and ball skills, and when you can kind of pair him up with the Honey Badger, I think it could be a dynamic combo there.
I think anybody who's listened to what you've said about defensive backs and the versatility you guys look for, it's always ball skills and trying to take possessions away right now. When you're flipping on the tape, how do you see the ball skills or the instincts? What are the types of things that you see when you watch Thornhill?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, again, a lot of tape work and just watching them over and over and watching, pattern recognition and their eyes and their ability to kind of jump routes and see things develops, and he does that. And another thing with Juan is you talked about the versatility. I mean, they lined him up all over the field. I mean, he played corner, he played free safety, played strong safety, he played some nickel linebacker. And anytime you can get a guy that you can literally move all over the field, again, he's a guy that should come in and help us right away.
You'd spoken a lot about the communication between your staff and Steve Spagnuolo and the new defensive coaching staff. How is Thornhill the kind of player that it was kind of the perfect guy in that way, with the versatility there to fit into what Spagnuolo? Just can you talk about that communication process you had with them as far as how he was going to fit?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we had some great dialogue, and it's been a great process for where we ended at the end of the season, to have Coach Spags bring in his crew you know, always never sure where, you know, how things are going to start and how the communication is going to flow. But we really did. We hit the ground running, and I think the dialogue and the communication was great. The coaches were able to articulate the vision and what they needed, and we were kind of able to show them the guys that we felt best fit that description of what they needed. And this was a guy that actually Dave Merritt had #1 on his free safety list. So we were excited and ecstatic when he was still available, and we wasted no time to turn his name in.
All right, and the last player, Khalen Saunders. I know a guy from the Senior Bowl. He's got a lot of big personality. Guy can make plays from right down. St. Louis kid, played at Western Illinois. What do you like about Saunders' game?
Yeah, you know, I learned a long time ago as a young scout, you never want to miss out on kids that are kind of right in your back door, and he's one of those kids that I would say qualifies. But he certainly jumped out at the Senior Bowl. And then when you go back and you watch, you know, the tape of him, I mean, it was just dominant. I mean, no one really blocked him at that level. Tremendous athlete. I'm sure you saw the backflips he can do at 330 pounds. But, you know, after the draft ended, we had a chance to kind of sit back and look at our defensive line. And it's just, again, it goes back to the work our coaches did and our scouting staff did to get the plan, get the vision, have everyone work together. And from where we were right before free agency started, and then to kind of look back and to think that with just in a few weeks or a month or two, and you know, we were able to add Frank Clark, and then the Ogbud trade, and then signing Okafor. Obviously, we still have, you know, Chris Jones and Derek Nottie and Breland Speaks, and then to add a Khalen Saunders and Tano. I mean, that defensive line is athletic, they're talented, and they're deep. And we just have a rotation now that we feel is really good. And I don't know, there's a lot of teams that can say they have that kind of depth across the board. So we're excited about that. And I think when you have a 23-year-old league MVP at quarterback, and you have a defensive line with that kind of you know, youth and athleticism and depth, I think it's a great place to start to build a winning team and a winning culture here for years and years and years. So we're excited about it.
You know, Coach always talks about energy givers, and it doesn't take long talking to all three of those guys that they fit that mold perfectly. And one last chance to give a little love to Jim Nagy and the crew down at the Senior Bowl. For a guy like Khalen Saunders coming from a smaller school at Western Illinois, how important was that week from your guys' from personnel evaluators' perspective to see him go up against some of the guys?
Yeah, I mean, it's huge. And, you know, there's always that question in your mind when you watch a guy play at that level. It's the but, right? And then he goes to the Senior Bowl, and he is just as dominant. So certainly Jim and his crew at the Senior Bowl do a tremendous job. And there were a number of players that really, you know, elevated their draft stock, their draft status, and that is a great evaluation piece for us, and certainly that came in handy with Khalen.
All right, final question is, how would you sum up the work you guys were able to do in adding these three guys to the roster?
Well, look, again, certainly thrilled and ecstatic, and if you were to tell me we'd end up with Hardman, Thornhill, and Saunders, I would say that'd be tough, because trying to get all three of those guys in the second and third round with only 3 picks would be tough. And, you know, I think, again, the credit goes back to my staff. They did a tremendous job. We stayed true to the board. We didn't draft for need. We drafted the best player available. Hardman was the best player at the time we picked him. Thornhill was, and certainly Saunders was.
Awesome.